The value of solo gaming. This is what I want to talk about today, and I'm breaking it down in 3 different parts: solitude, therapy, and joy. Now, before we get into it, I need to stress that gaming is obviously only beneficial when done in moderation. You don't want to overdo it, you don't want to let it take over your life, you don't want to choose it over traditional methods when it comes to therapy and stuff like that. This is more to open your eyes to the fact that it does serve as its own kind of therapy and it does have its benefits, but you need to see that these are a bonus to the joy that gaming brings, because primarily video games are designed for joy / emptying your wallet. There's a big difference between loneliness and solitude, but most people never really learn that, and that's okay. Let me explain. As we all know, this modern world that we live in today is eerily interconnected. Everyone is plugged into the system, and it never really feels like you're ever truly alone, which is terrifying to me, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. We're all connected all the time, whether it's the news, work, social media, group chats, online gaming. The list goes on, you just can't escape it. But as cliche as it is, solo gaming is one of the very few times I get to feel alone, but in a good way. Solo gaming, hiking, sleeping, and that is about it really. Solo gaming is a conscious space. It's a quiet room that you can step into, shut the door behind you, and let the world fade away. It allows you to be alone, but not lonely. It's peaceful. Solitude kind of feels like you can finally breathe. There's no pressure to perform, there's no competition. It's just you and the world in front of you, the digital world, but a world nonetheless. And in that space, you're able to just listen to yourself again. There's a sense of clarity that only comes from being alone with a story. Solo games create a mental space that's yours and yours alone, and we need that more than we realise. Psychologists have studied solitude for decades, and the findings are pretty clear. When it's purposeful, spending time alone can be deeply beneficial. Research links solitude to improved creativity, better emotional regulation, and even stronger personal identity. This tells us that solitude helps you find who you are beneath all the layers of mess and noise, and solo gaming is one of the best, most immersive ways to experience that. The stories in these games aren't there to be witnessed, but they're there to be experienced. You're part of it. You're not passive, you're engaged. You're making choices and solving problems. You get to explore new worlds, go in whichever direction you want to go. It's a form of mindful escape that offers focus and calm at the same time. People talk a lot about meditation or yoga, and they're both great. I have done both. Now I just do a bit of yoga in my living room, but I kind of feel like I don't need to meditate. But anyway, people always mention these things, but no one ever mentions booting up Skyrim after a long hard day, walking through the forests and mountains and turning the ambience up and just losing yourself in that moment. It's so peaceful and calming for the mind. I love it. And I spend a fair bit of my time just wandering around aimlessly before or during certain quests. It definitely feels like some kind of restoration is going on there when I'm doing this. Let's talk about the actual healing side of solo gaming, because for a lot of people, playing games alone is as much therapy as it is entertainment. There's a growing scientific evidence that playing video games, particularly in solo immersive settings, can reduce stress, ease anxiety, and even help people manage symptoms of depression. In 2020, researchers at the Oxford Internet Institute studied players of Animal Crossing New Horizons and Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighbourville. What made this groundbreaking is that for the first time, a major academic study used actual playtime data from game developers, not just self-reported hours. The results were clear. People who played more reported higher levels of psychological well-being. Lead researcher Professor Andrew P. summed it up by saying, "Our findings show video games aren't necessarily bad for your health. In fact, they might actively be good." But why? What's actually happening when you play a game alone that helps your brain recover? It comes down to a few key mechanisms. First, there's control. Real life can feel unpredictable, we all know it. Careers change, relationships shift. As you get older, you get more and more responsibilities. But in video games, you're given a very clear sense of agency. You have goals, you make progress, and you receive a response. Every quest completed or every level gained is immediate feedback that says you're moving forward, you're doing a good job. In solo games, you're not just part of the story, you're the very centre of the story. And that sense of control can be incredibly powerful for anyone who feels overwhelmed or powerless in day-to-day life. Second is immersion. Games are uniquely effective at capturing your full attention. When the brain is stuck in cycles of stress or anxiety, deep engagement in a game can interrupt those loops, acting like a cognitive reset or a circuit breaker. Research in cognitive psychology shows that immersive activities, including gaming, help regulate your mood by shifting focus away from negative thought patterns and into structured, rewarding tasks. In other words, getting lost in a game isn't always avoidance, it's a proven way to give your mind space to recover. Thirdly, safe expression. Solo games often create a space where players can explore difficult emotions, grief, identity, fear, failure, without real-world consequences. Titles like Journey or Spiritfarer are designed with these themes in mind, turning play into a kind of guided reflection. But even outside of explicitly emotional games, the effect is measurable. Research in neuroscience shows that progressing in games activates dopamine pathways associated with motivation and reward, while also reducing cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. In practice, that means even completing challenges in an action game can provide a genuine sense of relief and emotional processing. People often say that this is a false sense of achievement, but if it genuinely reduces the stress hormone, it's a real achievement, it's real. One study published in JMIR Mental Health tested the use of casual video games for stress recovery. The result was that players who engaged with solo games like puzzles or platformers showed significant reductions in heart rate and stress levels after just 20 minutes of play. That is literally as effective as meditation or going for a short walk. This is great news for people who don't feel comfortable with traditional self-care tools. That being said, I would still recommend going for a walk every now and then. If you're anxious and going for a walk isn't something you're truly comfortable with, see if someone else will go with you. I know it sounds silly, but I have been that person who wouldn't go for walks, like even down to the shops, without somebody by my side. It happens. Moving on, so even the World Health Organization, which controversially included gaming disorder in its classifications, now acknowledges the mental health benefits of moderate gameplay. And let's not forget the real world stories, the experiences we've all been through. How many people picked up Stardew Valley during lockdown and used it to escape the anxiety, to give themselves a break from constant news stories? How many players turned to The Witcher or Skyrim or Minecraft after going through breakups, or after they've lost their job, or simply when they've had no plans on a Saturday night? We've all been there, some of us are there quite often. But hopefully you don't feel too bad about that, because you don't need to. So if we're being honest, the number one reason we game is for entertainment, to feel joy. The benefits of gaming, the cognitive sharpening, emotional regulation, the therapeutic impact, those are just nice little perks. They're not the reasons we decide to spend our money on video games. It's a hobby, it brings us joy. And although 2/3 of this video is about justifying why gaming's okay, that doesn't mean gaming needs that justification, not to anybody else and not to yourself. Solo gaming doesn't have to be productive, it doesn't have to improve your mental health or train your brain or build some sort of skill set, it can just be fun. It's strange how we live in a world that makes us feel like joy has to be earned, like every hobby must have a secondary function, such as serving as a side hustle. Even rest is judged by how useful it is, which is absolutely insane, and we need to scrub that notion from our minds immediately. It's unhealthy, we need our downtime, we need to be able to switch off. So what if joy was the only function? No hustle angle, no form of therapy. What if the thing that makes you feel good, the satisfaction of finishing a story, discovering a new world, meeting interesting characters, or just zoning out for a while, what if that was valid in itself? Well, why can't it be? Sure, gaming improves your cognitive focus, sure it can reduce stress, lower cortisol levels, yeah, solo gaming helps you recharge and regulate emotions, etc. But those are the bonuses. The real reason people return to their favourite games again and again is because it brings them joy. It's as simple as that. And you don't need a study to tell you that you revisit your favourite games because you enjoyed them. Let's flip it for a second. So, nobody asks why somebody listens to music alone. Nobody asks why somebody reads a novel alone, or goes to the cinema alone, or even eats at a restaurant by themselves. I mean, that one does turn a few heads, but you get my point. They're seen as normal, even noble ways to spend your time. But gaming, suddenly there's this internal pressure, and a lot of us feel just wrong for sitting there gaming by ourselves. It just feels like a waste of time. But that is what we call conditioning, and we need to break it. Because the simple truth is, your time is yours to spend how you want to spend it. I find it quite sad how some people aren't true to themselves and they won't admit to enjoying things that they love because they know the people around them wouldn't approve. It's just sad. People should always unapologetically be themselves and embrace what they love, regardless of outside opinions. But these days, it's a lot easier said than done. But yeah, your time is your own, and joy is a very, very valid way to spend that time. Next time you're gaming and you feel like you're achieving nothing, just remember that you are achieving something, because you're achieving peace, you're achieving joy. They are pretty big achievements if you ask me, very important things to experience in the one life that you have. You're giving yourself a break from the world, the messed up, hectic, constantly moving world, I think it's important to remind yourself that you're not a machine. Yes, you do have to be productive depending on the type of life that you want to build for yourself and for future generations, but you're not a machine. Do not neglect your downtime. The world is very demanding, but so are you. Your body and your mind, it demands rest. Even more so in this modern age. So don't burn out, do your fair share, and then allow yourself to get lost in video games every now and then. Now, as you may or may not know, I'm not the best at goodbyes, so